Okay, all right. Hi everybody. We are live here from Attic Studios. We discussed right now. So again, back here, we have three speakers here, very well presented before. So today's topic is about AI and people. We see that many companies work with AI. But one of the biggest challenges that we see in our business as well is that companies treat AI as IT project. This is one part. And the other part is that do we see really outcomes that come from our AI as a benefits for companies? We actually see in interviews that about 90% or 8 to 9 companies actually don't receive any tangible profits from that. So that's what we're going to cover today, and I hope we get my nervousness away. So and we're going to talk about more things. So let me introduce Ivetu Biksi, who's a change management expert and organizational psychologist from Talent B. Plus B, yes. And she transforms human factor from resistance into momentum using evidence-based diagnostics. Actually, very much of the research is doing so, to revive mindsets, as I hear, and into internal cultures of organizations, so that they change and accelerate through it. So that's what we see about you. Sorry.
Nice. So nice.
So nice.
I really like, yeah.
That's as a help of assistance. So Dovu Zavadskis. Dovu is an AI trainer, an HR expert from Befriend.
Befriend AI.
Befriend AI.
Yeah.
So that's in Lithuania. So that's why we're speaking in English here. As some of our audience asked why we don't speak in Latvian, or should we have a translation and things like that. Actually, we can be sure that after the recording is done, we're going to have subtitles so that being able to switch to English. So now
and I'm sorry that we're talking in English.
Yes, we're going to speak in English. So you spent 8 years sourcing talent from companies like Apple, Amazon. Is it okay? Is it correct?
Facebook, Expedia.
Yeah, it's quite a bit there. I like that. And then you called ChatGPT your best friend.
Yeah, we're on a rocky relationship right now, but
yeah. Okay,
yes.
let's say LLMs. Yeah, LLMs.
Yes.
Yes. And built a whole methodology around the shift and teaching people to change their attitude toward AI from competitor to ally. And it's actually saying here persona engineering approach. Is that correct?
Persona, yes. So I like saying that mindset first, tech second. We need to know what we're doing first, before we even begin. So
I actually had been approached before this webinar that people said that they know because they don't know me, and I said, "Oh, I saw Dovu Zavadskis being on your webinar there." So it's,
nice.
So it's like, "Oh yeah,
that's so cool."
Yeah, so that's here from Latvia. So we are in an event, and Guntis Kalniņš from AI Master Lab. He's a partner of AI Master Lab. And it's a bit different introduction than usually we say about this. And you help companies build our AI architecture. That's what I want to say now for you. But not the tech architecture, but organizational architecture, so that you strive how companies can change to adapt to AI.
Okay, I agree.
So, all right, that was from me. All right, Can you briefly, like in 1 minute, 2 minutes, just say what you are about now, what you do, and what's the thing? What's the thing about AI and people now?
Yes, my field is mainly study employees' behaviors. Are they going in a needed direction, or they are lagging behind? So in this moment, I would like to stress out that skills employees are needed, or HR are pointing out, and really a role of HR as a career guidance.
Okay, Thank you.
So as someone who's been in HR for quite a while, I'm kind of shifting back and forth between, but now when it comes to AI, I'm focusing on generative AI. So I don't consider myself a technical person. I don't build solutions or strategies specifically around AI, but I help organizations to look at the recruitment process on talent attraction and how to make sure that what they're doing is much better to what it was before. And of course, in a safe way possible, because especially HR, we are guided by a lot of regulations, and we need to focus on data protection and not to make any mistakes.
In general,
that can cost a lot.
In general, do people in a class or trainings or consulting that you work in are curious about AI, or is it like a fearful of AI, or what's going on? Or enthusiastic?
It's a mix. It's really a mix. I think maybe it's because that I'm sure you see that as well. Depends who is attending, right? The age groups react very differently. Yeah. But maybe what I've noticed as well, and looking from some of the research, that globally people choose to do everything they can to ruin the implementation of AI, because we start understanding that maybe I'm the one who will lose the job if AI implementation goes well. So there's also certain risks involved for those who are training, looking after those systems, because they might be let go, which is a little bit challenging.
Yeah, and I think we're going to cover this topic today as well, but I think we in Baltics at the moment, we are in an experimental phase, and if we really read a lot of US researches, so we can predict and again make some assumptions and surveys how we are doing with that.
Yeah.
Guntis, what do you see now? But don't be long in this one, because you liked it.
We are behind US and some other developed countries in adoption of AI. This is good and bad. The good thing is that we can learn from what they are doing, how they are doing, what challenges they are meeting. The bad, there is a gap. And speaking about competitive advantage, we are losing in this competition with other countries. So what I am engaged with is to make sense of what is happening, starting with big picture, starting with strategy approach, vision, but then going quickly to what Iveta mentioned, the experimentation, practical steps, what Dovu mentioned, because strategy enough, it does not give anything without practical steps forward. So in short, putting everything in one picture, which is not simple at all.
Yeah. So what's the greatest misconception that you come into when you speak with groups of people or companies? What they think?
Here's a list. I cannot be brief about that.
But we need another webinar.
But speaking about one thing is, and this is a kind of surprising, people think, okay, I go to a training, I obtain skills, which is very important, of course. But then they expect some miracles that everything will change after they have those skills. The problem is nothing will happen without doing anything. Yeah? That is misconception. I will learn and then everything happen by itself. Yeah.
Can I add to that quickly?
Yes, definitely.
I think that what I've noticed is that especially corporate companies or public sector, they sometimes they decide that, we're going to go with one company with one license, we're going to give everyone access, and that's enough. This, and people get that access and they have no idea what to do. And sometimes they even choose something that they are not allowed to use just because they don't know and they don't want to use that tool. So I saw those challenges as well.
Yeah, that we see a lot as well. And let's actually cover this topic now, because it's one that we intended to cover as well, this shadow AI. So that what we see is that there are lots of proof, I lost my word in English about that, but it's research done about how people use AI tools, and Microsoft saying that about 80%, 78% of office workers use generative AI in general. Okay, that's a fact. And then that half of people actually hide it from management that they use AI tools. Is that true? Do you see that?
Okay, I will start.
I have lots of other facts there, but I'm not going to drop all the facts now. But it's just crazy what I see there. So and I hear more and more, and we were in some other classrooms and hear the same thing. Actually, they are allowed, as you say, they are allowed tools they have, but they don't like those tools and they use some other tools. So what's going on in this one, and what are the risks?
Okay, preparing for this webinar interview discussion, I also interviewed some of large company HR representatives and some of local businesses and some who are representing international companies. And really there are two trends. International companies, they have in-house built tools that they adopt. As Guntis mentioned, they take the best, especially if there is American-based mother company. So therefore, they are using AI different tools for building the products already here, but it's only internally. And then comes a topic that they do not measure skills. Skills they are obtained, they learn, but how it gonna happen when you connect it to salaries or to some career development? So it's a topic. No one thinks about it. Then in the local companies, if the main managers or owners are very interested into AI, they experiment themselves a lot and they bring in, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. Of course, if there is some lawyer, then they stop in some way, but it depends.
It depends.
It depends, because if they are also interested, they try to use. But then, as I said, it's really a phase of experiments that let's go into it. Let's go into. I also asked, do you interview people who are looking for the job about skills? Yes, it's just like Excel or PowerPoint. But really, how really you need to apply? How really do you know those tools? How much tools do you have used in your life before this company? This stays like in shadow. So that's why the shadow is quite a good word. How we can cover this.
How do you see this?
I really like what you shared, and also I think that when it comes to the expectation from the management, so for example, there is a tool, it's available, we can use it, and then you're my manager and I need to do a presentation, for example, or a report or something, you would be expecting me to do it faster. In general, because you know that I have access to a new tool.
And faster.
That should be like the natural thing.
Yes.
But if I have no idea what to do, if I can make so many more mistakes than before, because I fully rely on the intelligence, which is really questionable to an extent, because hallucinations and all of the other things, talking about generative AI, right?
Yes,
Not AI solutions or products. So it's tricky. And then, if I do things much faster, then how am I rewarded? I get more work.
Yeah,
so it's also, from that psychological standpoint, it's you want to do things better, but with quality.
Yes.
And then there's always a price attached to that, right? So because companies, they choose maybe a free license for everyone, but there's very little to what you can you can't really do that many things in a good way with a free license. Especially for work.
Yeah,
We're talking only about work environment.
Yeah, and there is this term of quiet promotion.
Yeah.
You get promoted, but nothing changed except workload or expectations.
It's the title, but not the salary.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even
I
the
like
title.
this point, and I like to point out this one that you just mentioned is that, and I've heard it from multiple companies. This one, I haven't done the research, so that's a biased thing.
Yeah.
That how to promote or how to stipulate people to use AI to gain more time. It's actually said, okay, you can gain more time, but and more effective, but what they will do with that hour or 2 hours that they gained. So what's going to happen? Do they get paid for those hours to get paid more? And what's going on with that one? And my imagination goes wild in that one. So if everybody does from this point of the time in 1 year's time, all of the job that we do it 90% more effective than we do now, or I say 99% more effective, whatever it's a maximum. So what happens? Shall we work 1 minute only? So it's not going to happen probably. Yeah. So so let's point it out. So maybe you want to continue on that one. So or previous one.
Where should we look for a solution? I'm normally working with leadership teams of companies, organizations. And I am addressing this topic and telling to managers, this is your responsibility, because you need to provide rules, guidance, you need to create guidelines, you need to have vision and strategy, regarding place of AI in your organization. Without that, certainly people will not follow you. Who they should follow? They don't see where you're going as an organization, but they want to use everything good they can get from AI tools now. And they will continue doing that if they see benefits of using AI. Only having guidelines, having frame, having set up your organization for AI will change this situation. Otherwise, you can prohibit, you can make barriers, anything. It will not help. Yeah,
it will not help because it's your private phone, or if you have a company phone, you can have another phone, or you can have a computer at home. You can run whatever you want, so and you can screenshot, copy, whatever. It's just.
Are you interested that people are transparent? Absolutely, yeah. Because then you can control, you can monitor the situation. Now you are working in blind. You don't know what is happening with your people, where your information is going, what risks are you meeting, because people are using without company knowing that that's a terrible situation for managers. But also should keep in mind that people have different perspective and goals from businesses. Businesses are coming with their goals and objectives, and people are individuals with their own goals and objectives. As a person, I want to be competitive in job market. First of all, I need to be sure I will have job in future, and if I see everybody is using AI, if I'm pragmatic, I will do the same. Yeah. For business, there is a different perspective. Businesses want to earn money, profit, efficiency, everything. We need to keep in mind that, again, coming back to this strategy and vision should be motivating for people as well, so that they sign up for your vision as a manager, they will follow you. But those are two different worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes on with that. That's basically the same thing. Let's continue on this topic. Is that so? One thing is if it's so. What to do with that? So one thing you said that companies need to make more guidance and more not rules, let's say, but let's say what they can do, what you can do about the tools. It's not going to change. The tools are there, and that's it. So how are we gonna? Let's say go on with that one so that they are using any tools, because we suggest in trainings as well, there's an AI for that, and there's like tens of thousands of tools that publicly available, so or hundreds even. So what?
You know, like for me, this is a very important topic, because just because that there is a tool out there doesn't mean that we're allowed to use it. This is extremely important, because we have a lot of Google Chrome extensions that will link your tool to an Excel or something like that. We don't read terms and conditions. We don't know what data it accesses. And if we're looking from the corporate or work environment, we need to be extremely careful. So in Lithuania, from the companies that I've been working, and you know, I speak at a lot of different HR events. So I have HR audience, and I ask, do you have AI policy? Very few people raise their hands. Is it clear for people what, for example, can I use ChatGPT personal account, paid or not, doesn't matter. If I work at a ministry, for example, or if I work in any other public sector or in the private sector, but you know, this needs to be really clarified.
That's actually a very good point, because say when we use Excel for work and office, so we don't think about using, I don't know, Google Sheets, whatever. Or there's some more exotic software. This is different era, so there's so many tools for the same function, and Chrome extensions especially, that you can do all kind of bad stuff for your company anyway. So, but do we still need to regulate what tools they need to use, or do we need to regulate, or not regulate, but suggest or guide through what they need to be cautious of and how they, because the tools are the thing. We say them, let's say, use this tool, use this screwdriver. This is an obsolete thing maybe tomorrow. So why do you still need to use that? Maybe we need to use.
I think the guidance, that's a word that we need to really follow guidance. And coming back to your question you asked before about this, what we're gonna do, like 10 minutes per day. No, we do not gonna work 10 minutes per day, because responsibility still are on people. still rely on managers? And that's a question. I think it's also coming the times that we need to ask loudly the question what we should stop to do, because time is like we like to do work 8 hours, not 20 hours most. And then employee takes responsibility on what they can create it with those tools. They should evaluate. Also manager, they should evaluate and also assign the works for that employee who have, again, skills or do not have the skills. So therefore, I think it's quite important what we should stop to do and how we're going to share responsibility from the work that is done by tools and how we guide which tools is better. Because also talking with some specific companies, they are already following the tools that are built for specific needs, like for veterinarians or for lawyers, specific tools that they are updated like every week, and they do not need to bring in something in-house. They are using, rely on that, and there are policies in order, and there are acceptance from the clients that they use those tools. So therefore, it will be more field specific.
Yeah, I actually could agree on that one very much, because what I see is like you don't need 100 tools for everyday work. You need, I don't know, what, 5, 10? It might end somewhere still. So it's, and you might have 5 tools for the same feature to use also, and you can choose from one another. So that might be one thing.
Maybe I can just add one thing that I think is related to this. So in EU AI Act, there are some recommendations that I think are really important, because that's really touching on what you just mentioned. One of the most important things is for to do an audit of the systems that people have access to. So all of the AI tools and solutions, whatever that is. So then you know all of the things that basically, if I type onto the URL, am I allowed to open it or not? Then they start looking into the challenges, the risks, and the damages that it can, that it can have if, for example, if the employee is using it, right? So then potentially you're making a recommendation list, right? As you said, we have some of the, for example, VPN security company, NordVPN. They are very open that they're blocking certain tools internally that you're not able to access, because we look into security first. This is, and I think if those companies are thinking about it, all of us should, right? And another thing is then to have very clear guidance and, to help people to know, because if I don't know if I can use one tool or another, I should be able to read a document or go to my manager and ask a question. It should be really clear.
It's a different, it's a communication question now coming into. It's probably going to be a combination then of all the things. Tools being, say, not allowed, tools being allowed, and then it's a guidance on how to use the tools, and it's just more complex thing. Do you have anything to add now? So I'm going to serve for that one.
Yeah, there is additional difficulties, and it is that everything is changing so fast, so quickly. So I cannot establish rules, and then those rules are working for months, for years. It's not about AI today. We have to be ready for everything changing. So it means that auditing, it needs to be done on a regular basis. We need to be ready that the rules will be changing, and we have to find ways how to adapt to this change. And I'm looking at Iveta, maybe you have some good suggestions, because there's no stability in future. This is another track in conception. Everybody's waiting for some stability at last, which is not coming at all, quite opposite. Everything is accelerating.
Then who opens the door? A cybersecurity specialist, company owner who likes to bring up more efficiency, or HR who are redesigning work. Then in whose arms are the keys?
Maybe, there's one very good example that maybe the audience has also seen in the last few weeks. There was a company called bought, then Claw bought.
Open Claw. Yeah.
Like in a week, the company changed 3 names, and now they're part of OpenAI.
As an employee and
No, and that
and they got
the project
code,
Open Mold is now part of the
Yes.
Open Cloud is part of OpenAI, right?
yeah, it was a strange way of.
It's a
going.
really big mess, and there were a lot of people who lost a lot of people in that week because there was a big scam involved in that. So I think that there's danger when we trust information that is on LinkedIn, even when people speak on stages at conferences. We need to really triple check information before we go and implement. Even, for example, when we speak, right? Sometimes it takes time for companies to bring any of these ideas into implementation. Make sure that you just check everything because things change too fast and you can make a lot of mistakes in the process if you don't check those things as well.
I want to bring another thing up a bit, is like whether that's a thing at all or not. Is there's HBR research done, and I say like employees using AI are rated generally 9% less competent by peers for identical work, and for women it's actually worse. So, what is it the thing, and how do you see that?
So it's again behavior in organization. So who I am when I'm using AI. So my work identity, professional identity is changing, and probably if company culture is built on you need to study such amount of courses to be an expert, etc., etc. So we know the roles, how to belong. Not how to fit in, but how to really belong by heart. And so therefore, if that company is noticing that work is getting less, becoming less qualitative because well, experimental phase, again, something was good, something was not good. On one hand, some was very effective, but quality was behind. So therefore, I think the main topic is how we gonna treat the work that is done half by AI, half by employee, and how we gonna praise that work. So who has done? And then your professional identity change because you are the master of combining maybe different tools. And you check the mistakes, and you look for all those echo effects, and then you are becoming expert because you are expert in AI and expert in your field. So that's
interesting data which you are bringing to the table. There's another research by Pricewaterhouse in US. And Pricewaterhouse is saying that those people in the same role who are working with AI compared with those people who don't use AI, let's say accountant, for example, one is working with AI, another is not working. The one who uses AI is getting salary 50% higher than the person who is not using. Yeah. Which means that from business side, and this is like real world data, this is not like some expectations, anything, this is done by surveys. The question is why me as a business owner, why should I pay to the person using AI such a difference in bonuses, 50% higher salary, that's a huge difference. I don't know what's happening in Latvia, maybe not the case, yeah?
Not yet. So that's also raises the question how we gonna evaluate the skills.
Yeah.
So that's quite important.
But then the answer for me as a business owner is, first of all, productivity gains should be much higher than this 50%. And I think there are those gains. Interesting, I was listening today to the news in AI, and they're saying in the United States, finally they see benefits from AI on macroeconomics level productivity, comparing with GDP and what they are getting. So there is real gain from AI. But another thing, why should I pay more, is because the person who knows how to use AI, they know it already, they find the ways, they train themselves. This is a huge value as well, comparing with the person who is not using. Maybe this person is not having motivation also in future. So there is good reason to pay more for people who are using AI. And I think this trend will show up because, business is dictating rules, not employees, unfortunately. In the sense, business has to make money, profits, everything. I know all those dark sides of AI as well, and people are justified to point out what they are. But speaking about business will dictate those rules, how people will work in future.
And I think it's also really important to stress that it will depend on the type of the business and the size of the business. The smaller the business is, you have, for example, people who are like in their early 20s, who are like a company of one or two, and they can be making millions. You can have like a big corporation with thousands of people. They might struggle with the AI implementation because, of course, there's more people involved. When it comes to the mindset, I think, and this is part of when I teach and when I talk to people, one of the most important ideas that I try to bring them is there's a big difference whether something was created with AI or by AI. Because if I go into a chatbot and I say, hey, create like a report for me for like whatever, I have not done anything.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything. But if I gather information from different, places and I say, hey, this is where I have, like, let's brainstorm together, then I'm valuable. Otherwise, you can be easily replaced by any chatbot. So I think we really need to understand that it's not possible for us to resist and say, oh, I'm not going to touch it. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Because I think that everyone here in the room and everyone looking, the live stream, we would not be here if we didn't have access to internet, the mobile phone or computer. There are jobs exist, but people don't need that. But certain jobs, they require that. And we need to also remember that AI is challenging those who are working in the office. They are creative, they're strategic, right? It's not just factory workers that used to be before for efficiency, but our efficiency is coming to a little bit different level. And we need to change.
Yeah, I actually very much agree with that, with AI or using AI or by AI. And I think this perception of peers looking at people who work, let's say, they don't distinguish yet whether it's with AI or by AI, because it's been so faster they do the job that it kind of demeans the results themselves automatically. And as well, this experimental phase that you're talking about is that in the beginning, sometimes, as you say, we just write me a thing for it and prepare, and you don't put yourself in. So therefore, it's been the perception done. So I think that's a stage where we are, and it should go on. That's I've been promoting from since day one on AI. It's like that you still are guiding the thing. So you are doing the thing. You're just pushing out the results of it. That's a calculator. You push it, crunch the thing, and do the thing. I lost a bit of a thread of that, but we're going to continue later on this productivity and gains from AI, but a bit later in the course. So that's from that. So let's move to, what do you see how the management roles are changing? So management, specifically what I've seen and reading is about middle management, that their functions are changing so much. And so on, why the middle management itself, for me, in my words, is like, there's middle management are the people who actually do the work, or lead the work being done, and then it's a gap between the doers and the management itself. So the top thing, what's going to change about it, and do we know actually what's going to change, and what do you see what's going now? And we talked about this one before, actually. I remember that we see that the function's going to change what they do. So that's about the thing you said. They need to stop doing something. You remember there just minutes ago. They need to stop doing something. And I feels like this is connecting here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because really, it's about evaluating what kind of employees I will need. So that's why I'm not 100% agreeing with your that business will dictate, because business is made by people. You can create super ideas, and if there is like one person company, still there will be need for others sooner or later. So that's why the middle manager, they are always between strategy that is made by higher management, and if they have strategy, what they like to reach with AI, because they also need to understand what AI can bring. And then are the doers, and for doers there are some who are really interested into and some who are not so. So therefore you need to bring in the space, or made place for the space, so you can really have one-to-one with your employees to understand how they are using AI in this case. Do they have this techno stress? Because I was very interested what we do with this term. Like in US, they have different researches how people are having like more than 50% is having signs of burnout, and they are predicting that they're going to be. And in Latvia, at the moment, there are not official data because it's quantitative but qualitative, that employees who are at least doing something with AI, who knows a couple of tools, they are having this techno stress because they don't know what's going to be expected from them. And then it's more challenging for that middle manager how to meet those expectations. We are rewriting psychological agreement because we are not at the moment talking about what I as a manager expect from you and what I as an employee expect from my manager. So therefore it's like again this shadow place where we need to bring the light in what I expect, how to evaluate what you do, and how I see your development, where again it's communication between HR who are redesigning those jobs and for managers who are going to be really implementing it. So again, in whose hands? There are always more and more collaboration needed, we see.
Are there any suggestions here? Because the speed of the change is so fast. So it's like you brought up the stress, and I think it's just I see myself as well. It's like I just keep using faster and faster and faster, doing more and more and more in the same period of time. It just kicks all the brain out.
There is again the question: do
and
you
I'm
ask
the manager
yourself,
myself, an owner of a company.
Do you ask yourself what I shouldn't be doing?
Yes, that's a good question.
And also, we should start to measure those stressors, because we are measuring engagement, we are measuring like in well-being or belonging or NPS, whatever. But we should more measure stressors, and especially also some like short pulse surveys. How is going with our AI tool, and we can really see and bring it into our one-to-one interviews, because it's like really changing a lot, and elasticity is one of the most important skills, and also how we then evaluate employees who we like to invite in our company.
Before we go on, as I want to add, this thing is like what I was discussing a couple of days ago as well with another AI leader, is that what I see is like we can do faster things. And we think that we may not outsource the thing anymore because we can do ourselves. And that's where it comes to here. It's like what I see is like video editing. I can do it now, but I don't like it. I don't need to do it. There's a bunch of people doing this one better, and I will be very happy for them to do with AI. So that would be professional, fast, and so this is this thing that we try to bring on the thing to us, but we need to give it away anyway. So that's what I've encountered. What do you see?
I think that the role of experts is going to be more and more complex, because you need to meet specific needs of company, employees, and also be a real expert in that field. So it's getting more complex.
What do you feel from the middle management? What's going on with them?
So for me, it's very challenging to predict something, because we live in such a drastic time when, like maybe a month from now there's going to be a new tool that's going to eliminate middle management.
There gonna be.
Right? We don't know, because right now we already see some of the things are happening that I think even a year ago we would be like, this would be insane. So that's one thing. Another challenge, because you need to get to middle management. So when we are bringing, especially big corporations, they have less junior roles open. You need to train them. Those people need to get to the middle management, as there's a risk that we will reach a time when we won't have that middle management to begin with, because we jump into more senior people, especially from those who are writing code. I saw these jokes that online saying, "Oh, Spotify announced that since December, all of their developers, they're not writing code. Cloud Code is doing it." Right? So you have really big corporations that are sending maybe a wrong message to the rest of the world, because maybe the public sector doesn't have the money that they can invest into that.
What if even it happens? So what even if it happens? So we can say, all right, maybe there's something that changed that this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, or as we see, potentially it might actually happen. So what if that happens? So is that really a problem? Because we perceive it as a problem, but is it a problem?
I think that maybe we just need to let go of the idea of how it worked and what it was for like last 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
And we really need to start looking and redesigning and thinking of, okay, if, I'm middle manager somewhere, like the question is, do managers want to be a manager?
Yes.
When I was headhunting managers, they don't want to be a manager. I was like, I don't want to do it. I want to be hands-on.
What do they want?
They want to freelance.
Zone.
They want to work as little as possible. That was German and UK markets, right? So they don't want to do it, especially technical people. Because right now, I think that maybe since pandemic, we have more evaluated the priorities in our life. It's shifted, and work is not necessarily the top priority, in general, because there are a lot of other things that if there's a threat at some point, we're like, yeah, I will find something different. But we just spoke before we even started that if you are like 40 plus, so then there's other risks involved. But it's a very crazy thing, because it's hard to predict. And there's like one example that's been like a scandal in Lithuania. Telia is, I think, a company that is known here as well. And the Lithuanian manager, the director, she made a post saying that, everyone should work like a 9 to 6 model. 9 to 9 and 6 days a week.
That's like
and LinkedIn went crazy. It's like, what are you talking about? With automation, with all the tools, you want us to work more, and it makes no sense. Because we need to be working less and having the time, because when the superintelligence shows up, it's all going to change. And we don't even know how far that is from, because the companies are trying to get there. And the whole system will be different.
Yeah, this doesn't solve anything
No.
yet, but
No.
it just opens more questions, really. So what do you think about
very much aligned with Dov. I also think that we should reconsider the role and place of middle managers, any managers, by the way, because the future for me looks in a different way when speaking about managing. Maybe we all will become managers, but we will manage agents and we will manage people. And this is the biggest difference, that in future we definitely have to look the role of manager, managing both, managing agents. By the way, agents which you build, which I build myself, not anybody provided. So I need to learn those skills, how to build those employees, virtual employees. Yeah. And so this requires a very different approach in thinking. There is much more needed skill for systemic thinking, creativity. Because if I have people, if I have agents, all the time I will have to recreate the system, to redesign environment in which I work. Very different skill, yeah. This is how it looks in future, in my opinion. And, but how? We don't know. We don't know here, and actually nobody knows. Yeah, We are now, well, I'm speaking about myself. I'm communicating with different stakeholders, different big companies, small companies, also world-class companies driving AI. I can tell even those big companies don't have a clue and explanation. So the best what we can do, in my opinion, we have to behave as children. We get something new, we try it, we look from one side, another side, make sense of it, experiment. Yeah, there's because nobody will come as a teacher and tell us you should do this in this way, that way. This is not our future for.
I want to pose this out as well. It's like, is it any different? Because for me, it feels like it's different. For one thing is established companies, well-established companies versus new companies, because that ties together with the remuneration that the new companies they can pay much higher because they see much higher gains. They can have different roles in a company, easy. But established companies, this is something that let's say, I don't know if we try to, but we want to save them from the hassle a bit, and the people. So, like in pandemic, they said there's no better time to start a new business because everything is bad. So is it something relatable here too? So it's very good to start a new business, maybe.
But I think that really also that all old and large and small companies. They are reporting that changes are like here for every day, and so it doesn't matter because your clients are requesting new solutions, and that's why we always at the moment are going back to that. Doesn't matter if you want to be successful company, you need to change always. So that I really like your. Allegory with we should be more like children, and it brings up that we really need to forget our experience. We need to forget that we are very important people sometimes, and to acknowledge and to show our vulnerability, because we really don't know. And that again, if you are higher manager, your vulnerability is a power how you can lead at the moment, and the power you show to your employees, and again you can bring them with you in those changes, because you really don't know how it's going to change.
And maybe I would raise another question, that if you're a manager right now, what is the value that you bring to the business and to the team? Because if you're just someone who translates the message from the top management, AI can do it. And even better than you. It can personalize to each per person individually and so on. So why are you there? Because this is really important.
Exactly.
Why? I can answer you, because in that moment you can be supportive power for your people. If you have time and you do not start micromanaging and you really spend your time with your employees, you can find out why they are disengaged, why they are not willing to learn something new, or what's going in. So therefore, that's the role of middle manager, to be more like human support.
Yeah, I love that. Can we ask a question to the audience? Like, is there a chat? So can you write in the chat how many jobs you had in your life, let's say, 10, 15, 5, and a number of managers that you had that you were happy about, because typically the ratio is really low. And if we're looking at someone who potentially might be replaced, if there's no added value in general, like in any role, you don't need to be a manager. If you don't bring value, if you don't bring anything authentic, unique, and now with AI we will need authenticity like crazy. And
which is kind of a contradictory, but not.
Yes, I mean, now I started seeing, for example, posts on LinkedIn, people say, this post was written by a human, or they make mistakes on purpose. You get to see mistakes everywhere you go on purpose, because then you automatically think it's a real person. But it's all manipulation.
Yes and no. Manipulation in the way that you made it and you think before you do that mistake or written or so. But again, if you are hands-on on the content and you believe that content you can deliver, if you have time to speak with your employees or even speak on LinkedIn, you have time and you can answer those comments and etc.
Yeah.
Anyway, there is this conversation.
Can I just quickly add another one when you asked about the types of companies? So when we have new companies and when they focus on AI, there's another danger that we don't necessarily talk about, because OpenAI is a very good example, that they can be offering really high salaries, but then you work 80-hour weeks. And for example, other well-established business, public companies, they would not have you would not be allowed to even consider that. So, that salary, we need to look at actually the hourly rate, or, how you look at it, because the number as the salary is not just pure number. There's a bigger picture in place as well.
Yeah, I want to continue on that you said before about what this middle management is doing, what they are solving. And this is the idea of, let's say, what we not keep forgetting or start forgetting is sometimes we start thinking about how to save our jobs or how to save our position, how to less stress out. It's like, but what do we really want to solve? And this is what the new businesses, when they're created, they're not created on technology or anything. It's like what they're going to do so that it solves for other people. So that's a new service. So this is something inside the company as well.
Yeah.
We should think about, should we?
I can give another example from HR point of view. So when I would go as a firefighter to help the team find the talent, I would be exposed to hiring managers. So they are a middle manager or leadership, depending on the situation. But in a lot of the cases, they are the bottleneck of why the process is stuck, why the process, why we don't bring the right people, they keep on changing their minds. That's the manager. They don't have the clarity about their own team, right?
So they're not in a good place either.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So when it's really, there is almost only some companies who really measure the time that manager is spending talking with their people. So there is no such a KPIs. There is not such a really training how to allocate time for your people and how to do those sensitive and inconvenient conversations. And that goes back to that Dov mentioned that almost 70% of managers don't want to be managers.
But saying, okay, we are speaking so much about how the situation is, but what would be your advice to those middle managers who are watching us? Yeah, because it looks quite miserable at the moment. Yeah. What they could do, what real steps they could take so that they are successful in this era of change? What would you say?
Firstly, dedicate time and speak with people. Come together also to address those inconvenient topics, name the elephants in the room, which also take guts to do it. And then we can talk about authenticity, about honesty, and about surviving those changes, or at least we are in a real situation in our real team, which is not perfect, but I'm interested into you as a person. What you think? What you think? What you are about?
Yeah, actually, I really love this one because when AI emerged, the generative AI emerged, and back 2-3 years now. So, is this thing? It was like, what profession is going to survive? So, because everybody says everything is going to be automated, and then one of these ones said, "What be human, interactive, like social workers, things like that." So the people who work with people, and this seems like as if deja vu now coming back. So that you need to navigate not technology, but you need to navigate people through this change.
Yeah, and why it's also important, like Harvard Business Review had a very nice graph, what people was doing with AI in 2024 and last year. So, and the top 3 was using AI as a therapist, as a conversation tool, and also career development, everything for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that also I would add that when you asked about suggestions or tips, I think that because we need to look at life from a different lens. So for example, if I'm someone who has not had exposure to AI, like talking about even LLMs, right? And my work environment is not giving me that opportunity. So I think that I need to find time after work to look into that on my own account, on my own budget. Cancel your Netflix, start looking at stuff after work, because we need to take control of that, because we never know when things can go wrong and you will be fired, for example, for any reason. Like that happens, you know, with businesses.
Go bust, and that's it.
Yeah, that happens, right? Everything is moving fast. So whenever you take your own responsibility and you are in the power position, when you say, hey, maybe while looking into that yourself, there's a lot of content online. YouTube is full of information.
It's more than ever, actually.
It's more than ever. It's harder to pick what is the right thing, but then you can actually come back to your business. And I have a very good example of someone that I know working for a really big insurance company as a project manager. And she came to the management and said, hey, I would love to do cohort for AI training because I have this idea. Now she's rolling it globally. We are in the position, we don't know what jobs are there. We can reinvent and we can potentially even create a new job, for example, within your own company if you like that company and if you want to truly want that company to succeed, because you can bring all of those ideas.
Yeah, this brings the question whether, because people, as you said in the beginning, people want stability, so they don't want to change, or they wanted the stability. And it's like, imagine a person who's been working 20 years in a company. All of a sudden, they just need to start running, and they were just slowing down. So it's kind of a contradictory for them. But let's take a conclusion from this in a bit. So one thing is that people need to educate themselves more, both in this tech thing that's happening, as far as its competence goes. Let's say not to become a programmer or anything, but basically be informed about technology itself. And the other one is get it more into people things, so understand how people work. If you were in the manager translating messages from top management to there and just pushing people to do a job, so you need to work with people, so not lead, so you need to lead people. So psychological skills. All right. You brought up agents. So maybe it's going to be a bit danger. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a detour in the thing. But let's say, yeah, how is it going to change the environment of or how is it changing the environment now? Because let's say you've been now a lot of in the businesses and seeing how are the agents now changing the thing already? Or is it going to be like tomorrow or day after tomorrow? Is it already past? So it's everything changing. Or what's going to go about this one?
So I think we need to define what agent is.
Yes.
Because that's also,
Please.
dropped everywhere.
Exactly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but because if you're using Copilot, so Copilot agent is very different to what agent is, because agents will be the system that is capable of using different steps and deciding what is the right way to achieve, go from place A to place B, and you will see potentially the steps and decision making and the thinking of how to get there. And potentially it has access to everything that you have, like on your laptop or all the access that you give. There's a lot of risk with that. And for example, if you go, I wanted to test ChatGPT agent, and when I clicked on it, the first thing that I saw was a pop-up that ChatGPT told me that if you're gonna continue, keep in mind that it's not secure. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? That's one thing. Another thing that we are now used to talking in our language and getting the results that we want. So everyone can do it. We don't need to be technical to get some kind of outcome. Agents is very different. It's very technical. And I believe that a lot of people will not be able to jump from not using ChatGPT or Copilot or any other LLM straight into creating agents, because you will not see the security challenges that are, like people are creating websites and apps, with other tools, no-code tools, and then they're exposing client details because we have no understanding of the security risks. So there are companies that know exactly what they're doing, and I think they're going to succeed because they potentially going to be providing services to those who have no idea how to do it. But should everyone be looking into agents?
Nope.
I highly doubt, especially in the public sector. Be really cautious and be really careful.
What do you say about agents?
As far as I have interviewed companies who that really in-house, they are using it and they really believe, but it's really, as Dovu also mentioned, it stays due to security reasons, and you need to train those agents as well. You need to understand what need to be again added to them. So therefore it will be as a colleague. It's really a transformation, and if you know how to use it, then probably it's gonna thrive.
Mm-hmm. No, but it's still gonna change, and I think the level of its capabilities, obviously. There's more to assistant, more to doing this, as you say, with all the tools possible, all the information possible, the decision making, again, about the goals and about everything. Somebody needs to work with them to lead them anyways. Okay, agent orchestration, anything, but still the goals of what you're going to achieve with your marketing, with your HR, with your whatnot, that you try to put the agent in. This is kind of because I'm business tech kind of oriented. I'm not programmer, but I understand, and I struggle to understand how it's going to fit into my processes. And okay, I have things done already, but yeah, it just messes my mind up. And
I think that maybe you can add to that as well. That a lot of companies that are playing with AI, because play I think is the right word, because I don't think they have the capacity to even consider agents at all. They just don't. Mm-hmm. And maybe those who are watching us today, especially.
Yeah, I see absolutely dramatic difference in the capabilities of people as well. It's like when we start just thinking about if-then logic itself, just basic logic, and it's already something that's not happening in many people. So it's crazy. So.
Yeah, I'm very sad about what Dovu is saying, but I agree. This is the sad thing is about our capability. Yeah. What I don't agree is about our future, because I think this we cannot avoid. The future with agents, this is real. When it will come to us here in Latvia, also keep in mind this lag between US and Latvia. And if we see what is happening in the United States, it is there already. It's really happening. Those agents are everywhere. Yeah? And people are learning in all positions, all roles, how to build them. But then if it is too complicated at the moment, and I would agree. Also from experience, we train people in how to build agents. It takes sometimes days. It takes time to build the simplest of agents. Yeah? But I think those, and the experience from past shows is that technologies are developing, and what takes days now to build an agent, it will take maybe a few hours in future. And tech is developing very quickly. Yeah. So in this sense, what is waiting us for future is absolutely different reality from today. Yeah. And the sad thing is that we are lagging behind in our competitiveness here in Baltics. And
but at least in a way it's good because that we are having that lag because we have restrictions of what we can do because US has no guardrails. They have all the other problems. And I don't believe that all the challenges we will face we will get information about because they're competing right now with China. It's like reminds me of who's going to go to the moon first, that kind of situation. But agents is really inevitable, but it's like there's a quote from Ethan Mollick, someone who's the author of Co-Intelligence, really good book, and I highly recommend people following him on socials. That the AI that we have right now is the worst AI that we'll ever have, and it really, hopefully, right, and it does change the perspective. because even for example working in Latvian language, like 2 or 3 years ago it was very difficult, and right now because our languages are connected, right? We don't have that many people who would train it, but it's decent. You can really work. So imagine what's going to be like a year or 2 years from now.
I cannot. I really honestly cannot, because what you say resonates so much with me, because 2023, for example, middle of say July, we sat with Guntis and talking about starting all the thing out, and year later we think how the job already has changed, like how much we use AI in everyday life. It's been like day and night difference.
Yeah.
So at that point already, like middle of 2024, and then it's 26, and it's like 3 months ago. It's day and night, so almost, because I use tools now absolutely different now. So it's just absolute. I do with AI a lot, and just I can't imagine. But I honestly, what I think of myself is like, I've noticed. Can you resonate on that? Is I use less tools on every day thing. It's partly because I have lots of in-class trainings, because I have full day off there. But I use it more concentrated, so on the task. So the thing. How is it for you, or for what you see in people, other people?
For me, I'm using smarter, because I have find out what kind of research, for example, I have access or tool do not have access. So I need to give more quality results. So therefore, I know how to do to reach a result I need. So therefore, so it's training, and for companies or like observing, they are using more, and some are defining right now and setting up AI departments who gonna teach or to again explore what's more important. So it's getting into it. Then there is a place in organization as a culture, and a place in organizations that we need to deal with it, and we need to communicate about it, and we need to again skill people, and really it's transformation. It's not just a new thing.
Before we go to you, it's like just commenting this one. Smarter is a good word for me as well, but the only thing is it's not like just less. It's just more focused on the thing. So more focused on the thing, and then not using for silly things so much as it was before.
Because
you've experimented
that was your
enough.
playground.
Yeah, that was my playground.
Out of your playground.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I actually see myself being addicted a lot to some things that I start develop one project, which is a side project, and I spend hours on that sometimes. You just spend the night and nighttime on nighttime. So
visual opportunities, data analysis opportunities. You go more deeper.
Yeah.
And also I think what you mentioned, that there is a challenge when you know exactly what you want, like the outcome. That's where the real battle becomes. Like it starts happening, because if you don't know where,
challenging.
Because I'm like, what do you mean you don't have this information? Like, go and find it. Like, you start really arguing. I think that for me, I started using more strategically. Because every single time I use it like a brainstorming partner to begin with, and to see things from a different perspective and so on. But I think one of the things that I saw some of the companies that I worked with, what they start implementing, that they started identifying internally champions, AI champions. And some of them, they even have, they still have team meetings. Right, we do have those. And for example, if it's like once a week, Friday, for example, an hour, they would dedicate 15 or 20 minutes specifically for all the AI-related things. And someone would share, hey, I had this use case and I tried this and it worked. Always they bring the challenges, and they start sharing those. Others are sharing like different personas, or like prompt libraries, or processes, or workflows. What they were building, because any external consultant will never be as good as someone who knows business inside out. And by helping and supporting those people who bring those crazy ideas to the management, you can actually maybe help them, hey, we could do something about it. Then it's more targeted, and then the business, I think that maybe the difference is going to be whether business higher management will be open into those things and maybe tweaking, because you don't want to lose a really good person if they're like sales manager, but it's like, oh no, continue doing that. But really see the potential if the person is bringing something that is crazy different, because potentially they're the early adopters and they need to be the one, with a shuffle and, hey, we're going to go that way.
And that's also a very good way how we can talk about innovation, because always there is a value, like we want to be innovative, or there is KPI to bring such extent of innovation into companies. So with AI it's so easy and so useful.
Should be two ways of, I think, how we direct, how we implement AI in organizations. I think one way of direction comes from above. This is speaking about vision and strategy. Those super important, knowledgeable, competent, big managers should become now drivers of AI and show by
enablers.
example. Enablers and as well. So from above, but then there's another part from below, and it is champions, because there is a lot of energy, and then we should use in companies where we have motivated people, so that they start doing something and shares a positive experience with everybody around. So from above and from below, and then it will happen. And also it goes nicely together what you spoke about communication for middle managers, how important it becomes. I was thinking, yes, fully agree, but then communication is not good enough. There should be direction. So what do we do? And it goes to experimentation. We spoke about our problems, challenges, about what we want to do, but then we need to start doing something. And then champions come into the picture, because we need to have those motivated people, because by nature we are built so that not everybody is aspiring for something new, just very few people. And then it should work.
We've seen in our trainings as well, it's like that those companies or institutions that have these cross-department meetings, let's say, or environment for AI enthusiasts, and they actually are those who everybody looks up to as well, because they exchange this information, they know, and it's no way, because it's this experimentation time now. Nobody knows everything. And when I come in a classroom I'm a BI trainer as well, so when I come into the class, what I say is like, I know that I know more than anybody else in the room, definitely, almost definitely. So maybe in some topic they know better than me, but in AI there's no one that knows better than the other. So there's so many up and downs that the only thing that we can agree there is that we are capable of managing the situation where it goes there in that moment. The only thing we know something more about that.
And actually it's very interesting how your students see challenges with AI, because they are, as I understand, studying MBA, so quite business driven.
I'm actually in this grown-up or company trainings more of people in MBI, and we see that they can do a lot of with AI in that specific topic, but when they don't understand what they want to achieve from that, it's very hard for them to gain the effects. They make a formula, they make a solution, they say, but is that going to give a valuable result? It's kind of shady there. So, but I think we're coming to an era that's not going to be a case anymore, because you will not need to know how the things are structured. You need to know how to lead that thing, because we see co-pilots in BI, we see co-pilots anywhere. So it's going to be inside there. It's going to build your data analysis. Anything is going to happen anyway. So is it going to be tomorrow or not? We don't know, but it's too soon to tell yet, but it's going to happen anyway. So
it's about curious mind, to keep up the curious mind.
yeah, what I get nowadays is I get more difficult and more challenging topics to solve now. That's I'm happy for that. I'm happy for that. It's really cool topics to work with. So, actually, we've come to. Do you have anything to add to this one?
Talking about
Yeah,
challenging
actually.
topics, so I have like few maybe drastic or crazy ideas. It's maybe more related to HR in general. This is the industry that I worked, like I stepped into 20 years ago, so I think I know it well. When I speak to HR crowd in Lithuania, Latvia, and other countries, so especially in the Baltic region, it's, I would say, predominantly female-driven industry. We would not be arguing about it. Like
Yes.
at least 80% are women, right? And I had an experience a few weeks ago when there were a group, in 2 days there were like 1,200 people, 95% were women because it was an HR event. And I asked, raise your hand if you think that you consider yourself a technical person. There was no hands. So now when AI is coming, agents are coming, HR are the ones creating guidelines, creating those processes. How can you be creating process if you don't necessarily feel comfortable about it? That's one thing. And then also I saw a very interesting podcast on LinkedIn where there was one person who pitched the idea that, hey, HR is typically seen as a cost center. It's been like that since
Supportive.
yeah, all
Support
the time.
function,
So
yes, yeah.
if we need to cut money, it's always HR. Like they go first. But what if HR works really hand in hand with IT? Because IT is the other opposite extreme. I would say it potentially is 80-90% men, for example, right? It's the total opposite. They're the ones who are, investing in the tools, right? They're working and saying, hey, this is the ATS, this is the CRM, this is the chatbot that we're gonna go, and so on.
Yes, I also can add to that also I was looking for how then the team of HR gonna look.
Yeah.
And so the one trend is that really they have on board some IT specialist who is more technically driven, or they are having in IT team some specialists who are partly covering HR needs, who are like people.
Yeah.
So that's really mixing up, and it's always if you talk about position of HR, it was always like HR should be on the strategic decisions. So depends on the company.
Yeah.
Then HR should be on a company like development. Yes and no. And know how we can match HR with AI and IT.
Yeah.
Again, like HR is the position that is always on the scope, how to match better, how to improve their skills, and how to bring more value to the company. Because as we agreed, it's a kind of a supportive function, but without people we can't do. So therefore, it is strategic function.
So I have an idea about that, because I think HR is an old term, right? But for international companies, they separate it. You have talent attraction or talent acquisition is everything that happens until someone signs a contract, and then you have human resources, which is taking care of the journey while you are working with the company,
Or
and
even
offboarding.
people and culture, where you really
and you have
enable
learning
culture.
and development. You have a lot of different kind of subgroups, within that system. But just like, for example, at Expedia, we had a Power BI person who was supporting the talent team. It was not the recruiter, or HR. It was an external. You have the reporting teams and so on and so on. But I already start seeing a trend, in Europe, that we have talent engineer, someone who is extremely technical but works with specifically attracting talent. Now let's think of how much data there is in HR to begin with. A lot of
All different
a
kind.
lot of it. So HR potentially still seen as, oh, you need a psychology, you need, that human touch, you need to care about that, but it's getting more and more technical. And there's even data that suggests, that's coming from US, that if, for example, company chooses, gives access to any tool like LLM to any employee, women potentially might choose it 20% less to use. And there's also a risk because, I work with that crowd, and I try to help them. It's like, this is not scary, but there is a resistance, So I think that there's opportunity, to look into those.
That's why
things.
also Riga Tech Girls are working to enable more women to jump in and not to be scared of like a technical topics. But it's really, I think it's a team of HR or should also be more like powerful with different kind of skills.
Wow, we have lots of topics covered, and we have actually, I thought we're going to run out of topics to talk, which I didn't believe it's going to happen, but what actually happened that we run out of the time faster than this. We had another larger topic to cover, but we just covered it partially before already. So what we can agree on probably is, and we've seen it in our trainings we've done, is that it's only 10%, depending on methodology, but 10% is just this technology thing that drives AI success, and 20, maybe 30% is the data. And then the rest of it is people. Mm-hmm. And we discussed here lots about the people and lots of techniques and suggestions what to do with people and how the companies need to change. And it's probably need to be a separate topic how to change the organization itself. Certainly we can agree on that one, so I'll not elaborate on that too much today anymore. And we didn't cover the crucial question is whether companies have the returns on AI that we wanted to discover. But let's conclude this one on the topic. Do we have questions from audience? Three questions. Should we?
No, we don't have questions.
Three. We have three answers of those.
What's the statistics?
Oh, okay.
So many companies, one successful manager, a good manager. So 6-4, and question mark to 1. So it's basically proves your point that people don't see their managers as very, very good. Yes,
because there's a difference between a manager and a leader.
Yeah.
You need to inspire. You need to be ahead of someone who supports the team to go forward rather than, hey, you're gonna do this.
That's probably one of the best takeaways today is like the one thing that we need to think about, that people are led and guided rather than managed, and this is what I would say. But let's complete this one with one thing from you each. So there's one takeaway for tomorrow for what's gonna go, so that this resistance of AI or the feeling goes away of this fear of AI or anything. It's just, what's your thing that you want to go give to people? Who wants to start?
Do something. You can make mistakes, but there are so many ways, small and big steps. Just do something. Start experimenting, because only doing something you will get feedback. Is it working? Is it not working? There is actually no other way, so I wish you try. I wish you succeed. Good luck to you. Really.
Good luck to you. All right.
Well, while working with LLMs specifically, I would say that because this is the beginning, right, for a lot of people who don't necessarily are very technical, I would say that let's forget that word intelligence. Just scrape it and look at it. Remember yourself when you just graduated from school, or look at yourself as the trainee, and think of all of the information that you needed to get for you to be successful in whatever you're doing. That's exactly what you need to do for that assistant that you're building for that to be successful. However, not going against any company policy with data and all of the other things. Those are really important elements as well. And be creative, be playful.
Yeah, creative. Thank you.
Yeah, probably the first thing is to step out of arrogance, that you are expert in everything. rely on your team and to get into touch with your team and really to try to experiment and to see where it's gonna get and talk about where we as a company, as a team, where we are going with those tools and with our company strategy. Always like match together both topics and allow place for unknown and accept unknown as a part of our everyday life.
Thank you very much for the audience who watched us, and thank you very much, Iveta, Dov, and Guntis. It was an absolute pleasure to speak to you all, and I got to know a lot of things for myself too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.